I was telling David that today I came prepared with chips and pop and chocolate bars and all sorts of stuff. Get me
Why?
through
Because
it.
we're not going to have a break?
No, I got a board meeting with the market after this, and then committee of the whole, or then the in camera, then council.
You know.
Yeah.
So you were saying the tortilla was okay?
The tortilla was just fine. It was very good. Thank you. I have 3 o'clock on my schedule. Corporate officer, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, we are, Mr. Mayor. We do have quorum.
Thank you. And I am informed that the agenda is the agenda. There was no changes to it. So that I'll call this meeting the committee of the whole for December 15th, 2020. Convene this call to order at 3 p.m. and acknowledge that we are fortunate to be able to gather on the unceded territory of the Squamish Nation. We have an agenda before us, Council, and I'd ask for approval of the agenda. Councillor Crowell, thank you. Councillor Ladwig, thank you. All in favor of approval? Thank you. That's approved. We have one report on the agenda, and so it is from the Director of Infrastructure Services regarding Summerhill Fine Homes and Sailor Soils Community Garden proposal. So, Mr. Newman, I'll let you take that away.
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. The report in front of you details a proposal from Summerhill Fine Homes and Sailor Soils to utilize a section of boulevard on Industrial Way, kind of behind Tim Hortons, that area there. The road dedication is 5 meters wider than our usual road dedication, and therefore we have this additional width that is currently fairly, well, it varies between being overgrown and currently shorn down as it is now. These folks, the local businesses here, wish to start a community garden in this location to make use of this space, and obviously to engage the community in the benefits of a community garden. They are proposing a fenced garden area with some raised beds, a small garden shed, a gravel path that would link from Venture Way to Seamount Way. And that will do a couple things. One, it gives you at one end Tim Hortons and Wendy's and the bike shop, and the other end the trail network that goes over to Parkland and beyond. So it'll be a nice short little addition to the town's trail network. They're also proposing some fruit trees, 2 or 3 larger native tree species, and they're proposing to provide the water supply. The Sailor Soils, or sorry, Summerhill is willing to provide insurance, naming the town as additional insured. And what they are seeking from is council's approval to use this section of boulevard for the uses that I've detailed, both in the report and verbally. Happy to take any questions. I'll leave it fairly brief at this point, and if council has any, or committee has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Before we're going to questions, there is a similar project in Seashell. I don't know if council is aware of it, but just up from the Seashell office, the boulevard there was turned over several years ago to a group who does a community garden on the boulevard in Seashell, and they annually kind of go in there and plant and harvest. I guess my question to staff is, why would we not be doing this as part of an encroachment agreement process? We do have a policy around that. And
we could do that as well if this is a little bit of an unusual or a different ask.
Yeah.
But we could certainly go through an encroachment agreement. Typically what happens with, we've got 2, one's an encroachment agreement and the other one is, and I can't remember the term right now, but one is intended to be used more for structures that aren't permanent in nature. So typically, though, that's been in the the lower Gibsons area for tables and chairs, for example, or an awning. And that agreement runs with the person as opposed to the property. The other way we have done it is where there is a permanent structure, such as a retaining wall for a driveway that needs to be located on town property. And that we actually raise title to the road and put a right of way on it and so on. I would say that one probably isn't as suitable because this, although it would have a semi-permanent structure of the small garden shed, it would be it would run with a property, and we're not guaranteed that that community garden or that company is always going to be involved with the community garden. But certainly happy to have an encroachment agreement with them if council's supportive of this idea.
I know the one in Sea Shelter is done through encroachment agreement, and I guess I'm just looking for some consistency for the next one that comes in, that we have a process, we have the model, and we have the written agreement, which also requires the insurance on it, sort of thing. But yeah, so I have no further questions right now, so I'll turn over to council. Councilor D'Andrade. You're muted, Councilor D'Andrade. Yeah.
I was on mute and I muted. Thank you. I thought it was a great, in principle, a great proposal. Obviously, the drawings are beautiful. I think I have maybe some concern. One is with the fruit trees in the long term with bears, serving as a bear attractant, right? Because if they will be responsible for a long term, but I think the project is only 3 years. So we don't know what's going to happen. So my question is, if for a reason the proponents want to back up, would the town be willing to maintain the trees and do everything possible, right? Because it's a public land, so we will have trees that would attract animals. Another thing is, it's not too clear to me if the proponents will be responsible for the project, or they would engage a third party, a community organization to do that. And I think this change a little bit, right? Because if they take responsibility, they can do pretty much what they want. But if they want to involve the community, there would be probably some ratio with number of beds. So there has to be a feasible project. And when I look at the drawings, even though the drawings are gorgeous, but I see a lot of landscaping, but not enough beds. And I think I would like to understand who will be ultimately responsible for this project. So these are my questions for now.
Yeah, so it would be, well, actually, let me mention the fruit trees first. Yes, I agree that, we could end up with fruit trees there that, 5 years, 10 years down the road, whatever it is, we have to be either willing to maintain them or have a community group pick the fruit or remove the trees. And we can, council could, or committee could direct that fruit trees not be included, or, plan for taking over those trees if the community garden doesn't continue past X number of years. My understanding is that ultimately Summerhill and Sailor Soils would be, they're the initiators and the ultimately the responsible party, but the intent is to engage the community. So again, if committee wanted to request or encourage to see more beds be put in, raised beds, then certainly. I don't really want to comment on how they're planning on rolling it out, because they may find that they only have 3 people who are interested, in which case, perhaps the number of beds are appropriate. However, as it grows, they may also have the opposite situation where there are just not enough beds for the people who are interested. So that's certainly something we can ask them, and perhaps the committee would be willing to allow more use of or larger use of the boulevard to accommodate that.
Councillor Crowell?
I sort of saw this as a pilot project, sort of suggesting what could be done on such spaces. So I think, I appreciate the, them bringing this forward. With respect to the fruit trees, one of the problems we're finding in the community is that a lot of fruit trees are being removed, and because they're being removed, we're not getting cross-pollination. And case in point, we had a cherry tree in our backyard, and 3 of the neighbors cut down their cherry trees to get view one thing and another. And our cherry tree virtually went barren because there was no cross-pollination possible. So I think, bears or not, we have to be conscious of the necessity of cross-pollination, and there's possibly even the possibility there of setting up some beehives. I think it's a really great project. Also, in light of the fact of the live workspace that's being created nearby, it gives people an opportunity to have a little more green space. So I think I'm very supportive of the project. I think obviously we need to be cognizant that we don't create a problem isn't created, but I think as long as people go into it with their eyes wide open, I don't really perceive it as, I think the pros for the project way outweigh the cons. So I'm all in favor, and I would be happy to move the motion.
I'll go to Councillor Ladwig first, and had her hand up, and then back to Mr. Newman. So Councillor Ladwig?
Yeah, thank you. So I agree with Councillor Crowell. I love the project. I think it's fantastic. I also agree with Councillor DeAndrade that bears are a concern, and so it'd be good to know that the fencing that they're putting in is durable enough that we at least believe that it could keep the bears out, and that we should be watching for that as an issue moving forward. I would also, I would love it if they would be willing to bring us a progress report or something, say a year from now or a year and a half from now, because I only just thought of this now listening to Councillor Crowell. Thinking of it as a pilot is a really interesting concept, and it would be great if we could gain lessons learned through this, because there's a lot of public space out there that I would love to see used more productively this way. So if they'd be willing to bring us, a progress report and let us know who their who in the neighborhood is kind of signed on, how they're managing it, have they got good uptake in participation, that kind of thing, I think would be great. And in the meantime, also any notable, problems with bears, any of those types of things, if they could bring that back to us would be great.
Yeah.
That and secure fencing. We've got those 2 things.
I agree. And perhaps one other thing, if Council would agree, and that is a sign. Some signage up there to say what the project is and how it's being done is seen as a demonstration project for high intensity garden and small plots, and we'd look to see further those emerge in the community, so that it's certainly supported by the town of Gibsons. So, Councillor Newman or Mr. Newman, Director Newman.
A couple other benefits of this as well, of course, is that this is an area that isn't particularly attractive in its present form, although there is adequate land to make it so. It is an industrial area, but we've got some of these areas as well that are live work and light industrial, and if we can integrate those and use the land that we've got already, I think that it could really all of a sudden make that area quite a pretty area despite being industrial. We are seeing additional residences go up as one of you mentioned, and so this would be a good outdoor gathering place as well. I can see that be a great place for people to stop by with their Tim Hortons coffee or something. And as a pilot project, that would be good. I think the signage is something that they were intending on doing. And then we were staff was proposing to meet once a year with them. I said September, but it could be perhaps later after the fall growing season, and they've got a few more months under their belt to talk about the pros and cons and the wins and the lessons learned and so on.
Good. No, great initiative. Councilor Deandrad?
Yes, I would like to make a recommendation that they involve the Bear Alliance with regards to fencing and even the composting, right? Because there would be two issues, right? I mean, I agree with Councilor Crowe. We cannot cut every single fruit tree because they can become bear attractants. But at the same time, we need to acknowledge that they become bear attractants. So the Bear Alliance, in this regard, I think will be the best organizations to provide feedback how the compost should be contained. Because on the drawing, I see a nice fence, but my question is this fence enough to deter bears or any other animal? Another thing, because they talk about access to local food and food sovereignty, and I understand it's a pilot project, but it will be beneficial to involve like some organization that have experience with farming, right, to support them. I don't know. I mean, I understand Sailor Soil's expertise. They make incredible soil, and they had in the past farm. I'm not aware they are doing anything right now, but there's some coordination things that it's involved, right? And perhaps the Summerhill wants to do everything, but even in terms of design, I think it will be beneficial to have some input if the goal is food security, right? And food security and what the other goal? Sorry. Yeah, food sovereignty and access to local food, right? When you say access to local food, it's intrinsically understanding that there will be a certain production, right? That's my goal. But the project is beautiful. So if it's just for beauty, a garden, like that's great.
Welcome, Councilor Lumley. We're into the report on the Summerhill Fine Homes and Sailor Soils Community Garden proposal. I guess my reluctance is to kind of jump on people's ideas and give them too much direction. I think that we could certainly suggest that they might want to contact the Bear Alliance people. They are certainly informed in that area, but in terms of the garden, the process, I'd like to see how it works and not kind of make it somebody else's project. This is their initiative, and I congratulate them on that. I would like Councilor Radwick and others see more of this in town. There are areas that could use, including the plot immediately to north of them, the wider boulevard that exists there, and then that whole area between the Venture Way and area and Pratt Road is also an area that could use some cleaning up, and maybe this will spawn that. There are food security groups in the community who do go around looking to plant gardens on people's private property. This is just a different twist on that, and I would really encourage that. So, Councilor Lumley, unless you have any ads, Councilor Crowe was going to make a resolution. Yeah. You're muted.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I know it's a community project, so just from my question might be from a taxation point of view, is this group going to be like paying tax on this land, like on an industrial tax rate, or are they going to be asking for an exemption, or?
They're asking. Looks like it's an encroachment onto the town land there for the purpose of this demonstration garden. It wouldn't be part of their industrial footprint.
Okay.
So, Councilor Crowell, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. I would just like to move that we accept the recommendations that are made in 3.1 of the report.
Somebody be prepared to second that. And I think that given the comments relative to Bear Alliance. Those are suggestions that we can make to them as opposed to prescribing it. And you can suggest that they contact the Bear Alliance in terms of looking for input into fencing and management of the compost and things of this nature. I think those are important features, and they do have some experience and expertise in that area in terms of preventing bear-human interface and problems. So tracking the bears closer to Tim Hortons garbage bins is probably not a good idea. So it's been moved. Somebody seconded it? Okay, obviously we have some discussion. I'll go to Councillor Ladwig first and then Councillor D'Andrade.
I just wanted to modify the third bullet and say that Summerhill Fine Homes Limited meets with staff and maybe reports to council, whether in September, or, you know, I'd like to have the report come to us as well, just because I'd be curious to know how it's going. So I don't know how we want to reword that, but
it may just be adding on to that bullet and say that, and that a report be submitted to council. Councillor Cole, are you comfortable with that? As so far it's just been.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. So I'm prepared to, I'll look to the corporate officer here, but I think as it hadn't been seconded, so we can amend it. Is that correct?
Well, Councillor Lumley actually had voted or had seconded it.
Oh, is there?
Okay.
It just wasn't
So,
acknowledged, but yes.
I will then move that we add Councillor Ladwig's amendment to and further that. And so I would move that if someone wants to second that amendment to the motion.
do we not want to recommend the bear thing? Are we not doing that?
Well,
that's
as
just a
Beamer suggested, they're going to reach out to corporate partners to ensure the success of the project. And if we make it, we can suggest to them that, there's an amazing horticultural group on the coast. They may be willing to share existing, plantings and things like that with them. But, I think they're a fairly creative bunch and they're trying to improve the neighborhood.
Yep.
I don't think it's fair to make it too restrictive on them. Obviously, they don't want a bear problem. And,
Staff are happy to pass that message on.
The Bear Alliance exists. There's a very active bee group on the coast with aviaries and things, the Horticultural Society. So, I would suspect that, and plus if you look at Summerhill Fine Homes, they are dealing with a prominent landscape company. So, I would suggest that they probably have, a fairly good food chain to work with.
Okay, Councillor Ludwig.
So that's seconding the motion, or?
Yeah, second. Okay. So the motion for the amendment is the amendment is seconded.
So then I would further move the motion as amended.
I'm sorry, we have to vote on the amendment first.
We have to vote on the amendment. So all in favor of the amendment. Okay, thank you. And now calling the question on the resolution as amended. All in favor on the resolutions as amended. Yeah, okay, good. Thank you, David, and thanks Summerhill Fine Homes for this. I think, as I say, it would be a good opportunity to the demonstration to other organizations, and I think the signage will help that maybe that'll prompt others to come forward and look at opportunities and appropriate locations. So that and you can pass some information about the Bear Alliance and relate to them council's conversation. I think the bees is also a good idea. It'd be interesting to have an aviary set up somewhere. Yeah, so that'd be good. Okay, seeing nothing further on this, they've obviously put a lot of thought into it with an initiative with all the pictures already. So they've already done a lot. Houston Landscapes is already in there too. So seeing nothing further, council, and nothing added to the agenda. We'll go next to inquiries. So anybody have any inquiries?
At this time, I'll ask anybody in the meeting as an attendee. If you have a question of council, please use the raise the hand feature at the bottom of the screen and I'll turn on your audio and video. And I'm not seeing any, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And the next regular meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 19th, 2021 in the town hall at council's chambers at 3 p.m. Motion to adjourn. Thank Councilor D'Andrade, thank you. Councilor Ladwig, thank you. All in favor of adjournment? Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you again at 6 o'clock. And I'm going to go now to a board meeting with the public market if you want to join me. So that'll be the next 2 hours of my life. Okay. So, thank you very much. And yeah, it just I'll be at the office here tonight. As I say, I brought supper. Salt and vinegar. All right. Take care.